Okay, we're live. Testing, testing. Today on Quality Time with Family Ties, we learn that I get to talk about the Beatles more. All you need is love.
3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody! Welcome to Quality Time with Family Ties. I am one of your hosts, Scott Jones, and joining me as always, Mr. Paul Packler. Paul, how are you?
Peace and love. Peace and love.
That's right. It was Ringo's birthday not too long ago.
It was, right. Yeah, what is he, like 90?
Close to that.
I remember when the Beatles would keep pushing, like, for the boomers, they kept pushing every decade as to not being that old. It was like when they turned 40, it was like, well, 40 is like the new 30, and then 50 is the new 40, and now they're fucking old.
Yeah, you can't push anymore.
No.
You can't push anymore.
You know, they're around my age, Paul.
And joining us, as always, is Corey Pepper.
Speaking of old.
No,
sorry, Corey.
Got
sorry.
10, 15 years on me. It's all right. They're all right. I was a kid when the Beatles first played on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Right.
You were alive?
I was 8. Yes.
Wow. So you remember it? Were you there? Did you watch it?
I do remember it. Absolutely.
Wow. But here's the thing, Corey. I think you would have enjoyed when they did the Oliver medley before the Beatles.
Which is really funny, because when you were doing your British accent, the only British accent I can do is my bad Artful Dodger from Oliver.
Do it.
Governor, you're always here all the time.
It never gets old. It never gets old.
My Cockney accent, you never get. This is, it's Quality Time with Family Ties.
That was lovely.
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 In that Oliver medley, when they performed, it was like either the Broadway cast or the London West End cast, and it was Davy Jones who played the Artful Dodger.
That's right. It was Davy Jones from the Monkees.
Yeah.
Wow.
So for more Beatles trivia like that, listen to the rest of the episode.
So please, because we don't have a ton to talk about with this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I could give everyone my big heads up for this episode. Go at your own risk, because it's a fucking Skippy episode.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about Skippy, and we've all come to the conclusion Skippy works in small doses. It's fine in small doses. But anytime there's a Yeah.
I was just gonna say, there's 2 plots in this show. A very clean A plot and a very clear B plot.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them are sort of kind of hackneyed plots. Plots that we've seen a gajillion times in sitcoms before. And they almost incredibly don't shed a single ray of light on anything that hasn't been uncovered before. I mean, there's just nothing new in this episode. It's so by rote to me, both of these plots.
Yeah, I feel the same way, Corey. I was actually thinking of it as I was watching it. Was they introduced something, and we'll get to it in this episode, of Skippy getting a girlfriend, which is something that can change the character a little bit, give him more of an arc, new things to do, and it just doesn't happen.
And it's funny. I don't hate Skippy in this episode. I really don't.
I think it's the best he's been.
Yeah, he's restrained enough. Yeah,
and the guest star, whose name is Sophia something or another, who's had a very successful career. I don't dislike her. I think she's just fine. I thought, here's a chance for the show to sort of stretch out a little. Whenever they introduce a recurring character, and then you introduce a sort of a recurring for your recurring character, I sort of think, wow, you're sort of building the universe of your show. And in this case, they sort of kind of did in the most rudimentary way, just by creating a sort of an equal Skippy female nerd, Skippy with a vagina.
Yeah.
And I thought at some point it might change. And oddly enough, I was still interested enough in Skippy and Amy that the first thing I did after the show was over was go to see how many more episodes we get of Amy, which the answer sadly is only one.
Oh no!
And I was sort of disappointed. I thought, wow, and you would have built. And also, I thought Amy and Mallory were friends, and we didn't get Nick into this mix. I would have liked to have seen. These guys, they're so tied into whatever they're doing on the show, and giving all of the family member stuff that they don't stretch out a little bit with this. This Amy and Skippy thing could have been good for the show, but clearly they threw it away after another episode. So.
Yeah. I mean, to me, this episode was a breath of fresh air because we focused on Skippy and didn't make him a constant punchline. That it gave him a little bit room to grow. The two plot lines were competently told, more or less, and I liked Amy as a character.
I did too.
My other issue is when you have a Skippy heavy episode, and this also goes a lot when you have Mallory heavy episodes. What you get a lot is Alex lurking as either the second or third person in a scene and just smirking. Marmy smirk in the background, like, what a fucking asshole you are. It's very, it doesn't add to anyone. It doesn't help the show at all anymore for Alex to make dumb jokes at Mallory's expense, dumb jokes at Nick's expense, or nerd jokes, awkward jokes at Skippy's expense or Amy's expense. It doesn't help. I'd just as soon get Alex out of there. I don't need him in those scenes, really.
Yeah,
exactly.
The dynamic that Alex becomes in this situation where he's the third character in a plot that doesn't serve him. He becomes their angel or devil.
That's it.
Hold on one second, guys. Can we freeze for 1 second? I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Since this is a parenthetical, I have to tell you this. I was gonna put it in the episode, but we'll cut this all out. So this morning, this guy who on Facebook will take people's jokes from Twitter and then plagiarize them on Facebook.
1 second.
So someone will write a funny tweet and then invariably he'll reword it a little and put it on Facebook. And he's a super nice guy. He's a journalist, but he plagiarizes jokes. And so this morning I saw one where I was like, it was a joke about David Brooks. And I was like, that's so funny. He obviously didn't write it. So I Googled it, and he didn't. Here, 1 second, Scott. I'm just finishing the story.
Finish.
So I Googled it, and he didn't write that joke. And so on Facebook this morning, I vague booked and posted that Patton Oswalt thing about stealing jokes.
Right.
And so as we were talking just now, talking about the episode, he posted on my David Brooks joke that was original, and I thought it out. He posted the same joke that pissed me off this morning that he stole. After I vague booked him, and
What a douche.
Why would you steal jokes on Facebook?
What a douche.
Doesn't that upset? It really upsets me because he's a nice guy. Think of your own jokes.
Write your own jokes.
What point did Paul just make that was so good? You made some point that was so good right before we cut.
Oh, sorry, guys.
Devil. You want me to just jump back in for that?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Excuse me. Are you guys ready?
Okay. Bubba, turn it down because we're about to record, okay? Thank you.
That's a big phone.
Yes. It's Carrie's phone.
Oh, nice.
Down a little bit more. A little bit more. Okay, thank you. Okay.
All right, here we go.
We're good. Let's do it.
Okay. So, yeah, in these scenes where he's the third person, where it's not about him, it's about the other plot of the other character, he always plays the angel or the devil.
It's such a good point because I see that so clearly in his face in those scenes. And it's almost as if Michael J. Fox is overacting in those scenes in the background. Instructed to do so I don't blame him.
No, because that's what he's set up to do. They want him to be the punchline. They're going to get the exposition out with the two characters, and then he's going to throw in bombs of good or ill. But, it's just the jokes aren't that funny anymore. The stuff that they come up with for Michael J. Fox, it's just, we see this from a mile away.
Exactly. That's the problem. It's that close-up on him with that smirk on his face, 3-beat wait, and then he says the line that's already popped into our heads.
Yeah.
You know, like it was the best example is when Mallory is talking. He goes, Mallory, the world could end and you wouldn't even know it. And she goes, oh, the horoscope. And then he has that long beat before he says anything. It's just, it's tired at this point. It was funny when he first started doing it, and now they just rely on it as a character trait of Alex.
Totally.
So, yeah.
Should we just rip right on into this thing from the beginning at the old kitchen table?
Yeah, let's do it. So, guys, if you're playing along at home, we are on Season 5, Episode 26, Love Me Do. And we start at the kitchen with kind of an odd setup. Every Keaton kid is around the kitchen table reading the newspaper.
Well, and this was another very predictable moment. Okay, as we're going around, we're seeing everyone doing their own thing. You knew it was going to come down to, wow, let's use Andy as a punchline again.
Yep. And it's the same punchline. It's Andy's into the same thing as Alex.
Every week, it's the same punchline. For God's sakes, let's develop these characters instead of giving them one trait and then pick at it.
Yeah. Jennifer was total 80s mall brat in this scene.
She's really into the whole Tiffany thing. Since she's trying to get her recording career off the ground, I think she's still doing this.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So we learn in this first scene that Elise's birthday is next Thursday. So they set up a timeline right at the very beginning of it. Her birthday is next week, and right after they establish that, Dad runs in and establishes that he wants to have a surprise party. And the look on the kids' faces and the reaction tells us that this is probably something that's been tried 3 or 4 or 5 times unsuccessfully. Dad is not good at throwing a surprise party. Now, since they tell us that at the very beginning of this scene, which is at the very beginning of the episode, and at the very end of the episode, I'm going to blow it for you, okay? Spoiler alert. What we learn is the kids were right. He's not very good at throwing a surprise party. That's what we learned. So we've told everyone the plot, the entire plot, every inch of the plot. There's no more plot than he throws a bad surprise party.
No, but I disagree. I think that he's not that bad at throwing it. It's just everybody sabotages it. I don't see him.
But ultimately,
what's that?
Ultimately, it's a bad surprise party. It's, by the way, it's the Mary Tyler Moore throws a bad dinner party joke from the Mary Tyler Moore show. Same joke. Every time Mary threw a dinner party, it was a bad dinner party.
I think what's missing from this, I think you have a fine idea for a B plot. I think what's missing is the goal should be we need to see Steven trying more and trying harder to throw the perfect surprise party. And we kind of don't see that. He gets sabotaged, but that is not as interesting as him working to try to throw the surprise party.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think if it'd be more comedic if he's you know, it's like pushing the boulder up the hill. He keeps trying and trying and trying and it always falls down.
Absolutely. And I have to say, in this opening scene and throughout the episode, this is maybe the worst performance of Andy Keaton.
Corey?
It didn't upset me at all. I thought it was terrific, actually, Paul. I thought it was a very nuanced performance. It reminded me back in the 30s when he gave a brilliant performance in The Bad Seed. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. All I'm trying to do is to bullshit Paul to make him feel bad about saying that he's terrible.
I feel for Corey, it's just one big blur. Like it doesn't matter what episode. It's just one big blur of hatred.
Actually, Paul, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to be totally honest with you. My next note is the earliest kill me in the history of quality time with Family Ties.
Oh my God.
The surprise party, I have kill me. Skippy enters, and I wrote kill me again. So we have 2 kill me's. As the both plots were established, I wrote kill me and kill me. Andy inspired to kill me, Skippy inspired to kill me.
Wow, I wish we had a time code on that. So,
Yeah.
This is an historic episode, everybody.
yeah.
Andy's performance inspired the earliest kill me in the history of Quality Time with Family Ties.
So Corey, by that logic, would this rank as like in your top 3 of worst episodes?
Oh gosh, no.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
I was just curious.
Moment.
And that's
At
the
that
thing.
moment, I felt like death would be a pleasure to come upon me. But in the long run, it was very vanilla. This episode very vanilla. Didn't outrage me at all. Largely because I think you're with me. Both of you are with me. Skippy and Amy was sort of like, okay, they were like a breath of fresh air. It was nice to have somebody else on the show.
Yeah.
For everyone listening, one of the things that made Andy so horrible in this opening scene is that he's staring off at the audience.
Yes.
But the bigger one is he picks his nose and eats it in the master shot.
And they had no choice but to use it.
Yep.
They had
Again,
no choice. They
something my
had
son could do.
that. No choice but to use it.
And he's doing it for such a long time that you know his mom is like, stop it, stop it, stop it.
Oh, I would have loved to have been in the studio audience seeing Mrs. Ponsall just get to stop it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And so then Skippy comes in and announces he has no plans for this evening. And one by one, he goes through. Jennifer's with Andy. Mallory has plans to study. And Alex has a date. And Skippy says, that's all right. He'll go home and what?
Practice his posture.
Practice his posture. So, Alex, this was sort of curious. Did anybody notice this one? So Alex goes, you know what, Skippy? And I thought to myself, he goes, you know what, Skip? You have nothing to do tonight. I'm going to call and cancel my plans. I'm going to spend the night with you. It's all right. And Skippy goes, wow, you do that for me, Alex? And it was like, fuck no. And he goes away and does something else. It was like, what? Why did you say that if you really have no intention of doing it?
That's just being an asshole.
Well, it turns out that Mallory is waiting for her friend Amy from college. By the way, the same college Skippy goes to, so I thought it was sort of kind of weird that they didn't know each other at all, or even hear of each other.
Right, because we've established that Grant is kind of a small community college.
And they actually hang a lampshade on it later when they meet each other, and he's like, I can't believe I haven't seen you around campus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So she walks in, and guess what? Amy is Skippy's walking wet dream.
Yeah. Perfect Skippy from moment one.
And which made it occur to me. Did it occur to you? How did this not occur to Mallory?
Yeah.
How did you not meet Amy and think, holy shit, you're Skippy Handelman with a vagina?
Right. And she's been tormented by Skippy for decades.
Exactly.
Right. This is a perfect opportunity to pawn him off on someone that's perfect for him, and you never have to worry about him again.
Well, this is another one of those things where I thought, okay, they dumbed down the character again. There should have been something that she had known. What would it have hurt if she had set them up?
Yeah, or at least, like, hey, my friend is coming over. Skippy, she's perfect for you. You should meet her. That could have been the first opening sequence right there.
Right. And he could have described his perfect girl, and it would have been nothing like Amy, but yet the moment Amy came in, there could have been a comedic reaction of, boy, this is the perfect woman for me.
That's perfect, Corey.
It just missed some opportunity here, because, as I will repeat over and over again, Amy, it's all right. It was okay for me.
Yeah, it was a fine episode. It was okay. Yeah.
And then we cut to the living room, and they're coming up with the plot of they have to ask Mom out to dinner for next Thursday night. The kids need to take Mom out to dinner so that can get the house ready with all of Elise's friends for the surprise party. And now Alex then goes over to Mom and says, okay, if we're taking you out for dinner, Mom, I don't have to buy you a gift. Now, this has been on for 5.5 freaking seasons. It's been sucking the life out of me for 2.5 years now. How do we never know that Alex is now Jack Benny cheap?
He's become.
Corey, that's crazy that you said that, because there is a moment at the end of the episode when he is watching two people talk in the last scene, and I literally thought while watching it, he's doing Jack Benny right now.
That's so funny. Wow. I think the whole episode was his, and there was something else he did at another time that reminded me of Jack Benny, who was a great reaction comedian.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was great to put as the third person in another scene and talk about something that matters to him and watch how he can't control himself.
Yeah.
Right.
And for anyone under the age of 90, Jack Benny had this thing that he would do where he was really, really cheap. And so they would constantly bring that up as a recurring gag. And one of the most famous ones is he's standing on a corner. A guy comes up to him with a gun and he says, "Your money or your life." And then he pauses and looks at the camera, and it got one of the longest sustained laughs in the history of TV at the time, or something.
And then it has an elbowing line afterwards, after the laugh dies down, and the robber sort of pokes him again with the gun, and he looks very slowly at the robber, and he goes, "I'm thinking."
Right.
I'm thinking. Mm-hmm. Which gets a secondary laugh almost as big as the first one.
Yeah.
And, you know, he had other things, too, which were really funny things. Talking about great comedians. You know, he was always 36 years old. He never aged.
Huh.
Right? So aging was always a problem. He thought himself to be a great violinist and was horrendous at the violin, although in real life, he was indeed a terrific violinist, but he played that for the character of Jack Benny. And he also fancied himself to be the nicest boss and the most generous boss. Very Michael Scott in a way, not quite as narcissistic as Michael Scott, but a very generous boss. And he was always playing Jack Benny. So he had a chauffeur and a manager and a this and a that. And he fancied himself to be the kindest, most generous, when he was in reality quite cheap and not very nice to any of his employees.
Yeah.
Right.
But in this scene, Alex all of a sudden is like, "Oh, we don't have to buy gifts. Oh, that's the greatest thing ever, that we don't have to buy gifts." Okay, Alex, calm down. It's just a gift for your mother's birthday you're weaseling out of.
And is this the scene where she goes, "It's okay, Alex, you don't have to get me anything. I still have your blank check from last year."
That's correct.
Which is insane, because a blank check is like the best gift ever.
What I think she meant, your unsigned check, which is very different from a blank.
Yeah.
And I thought the same thing, Paul. I thought, well, we're characterizing him as cheap one minute, and then he's stupid generous the next. How can you be cheap and stupid generous? It was like, well, I'm just going to give you a blank check. Fill in anything you want. It's your gift.
And I have to say this, that Brian Bonsall, when he was trying to get into movies and stuff like that, one of his starring roles was a Disney movie called Blank Check.
Yep. Isn't it like the kid finds a blank check and like forges it?
Yeah, or like it had something to do with the mob, like they're trying to pay him off or something. I don't know, but yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah.
So we have this right after the Alex and the gifts, we have another Amy's coming over to work with Mallory, and Mallory she sort of advises Skippy, "This is the perfect girl for you. You know, you should ask her out. I know she'll say yes." And, you know, that's what's making Skippy so nervous, is that this is somebody who could say yes to him. And, of course, he's, "Oh, I can't talk to a girl. I can't ask a girl out." And he's moderately amusing in this scene of him not being able to communicate with Amy. So Mallory asks for Skippy.
And it's not too bad. It could go bad very quickly, but it doesn't.
It wasn't. It wasn't terrible, and it didn't go on forever. And Skippy is competent enough comically to be able to say, you know, he gibberished some couple lines to her, and it was amusing.
Yeah,
And
he doesn't ham it up too much. Yeah.
Right. The first scene where they meet each other, Skippy and Amy, I just really liked the fact that they just were comfortable with each other. Like the chemistry, it was really enjoyable. I just like when people like each other. When you see it, it's just fun. And it's not always arguing. It's not always making fun of each other the way Family Ties apparently seems to do. It's nice when two people like each other on screen.
Yeah, I agree, Paul. And that's why when Corey said it's a shame that Amy doesn't come back, like, because it did change Skippy there for a little bit. Like, he got a little bit comfortable. Like, he got a little bit of confidence in himself. He wasn't as self-deprecating. And it was interesting to see that side of Skippy because we never saw it before. And now that she's not around anymore, that's frustrating that we can't evolve the character.
Every time Skippy said to her, and I think he said it twice in this episode, about this is the greatest thing. Nothing like this has ever happened to me before, you know, something like that. And I thought, that's very true. You only need to say that once because it should have some importance that this has never happened to you before. Yes, the first time a girl really likes you, that has never happened to you before. And I enjoyed watching that happen to Skippy. But this cut from this living room scene of asking her out to them on the date was very bizarre. The whole timeline in the show was very strange to me. Because we went right from the living room scene to the date. Night they were going out, did he ask her for that night or for tomorrow night? Wasn't it tomorrow night?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not really sure. I didn't even think of it because we have a week, and then I would assume it was like the next day.
Right. So I think it's the next night. And they're on the date, and Skippy's panicked. And this is where we start repeating beats. This is the beat that gets repeated for the rest of the episode.
And I just have to say, this is everything old is new again. She's wearing a Little House on the Prairie dress.
Yep. Yeah.
And Skippy's scared that he's screwing the date up. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and he, of course, does screw the date up. But if you looked at her eyes, one could clearly see it didn't matter that he screwed the date up. She has a crush on Skippy, and Skippy has a crush on her. So we end the first act with their screwed up date, but them tentatively holding hands in the restaurant that's not Guido's.
Thank God it's not Guido's.
It's the fancy one.
The fancy part. Yeah, and I agree with you, Paul. It is nice to see how much they liked each other. Like, it was such a sweet moment where, like, he was going to use his father's credit card to buy the swordfish and everything, and she was like, and it got, for some reason, this place doesn't take American Express.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in the 80s, the whole commercial was "Don't leave home without it."
Exactly. But she was really sweet. It's like, I have some cash, you know, so we can still have our date and everything. It was nice. It really was.
It was nice. I thought so too. And then didn't. Whatever, they used it for a plot point, for whatever their reason was. And we end with them holding hands, and it's sort of sweet. But the hand-holding is sort of important to me for what I'm going to object to in the second act. So I'm not going to...
Okay.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Yeah. The hand-holding, I think, is one of the most earned non-joke outs I've seen on Family Ties.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they'll try to be dramatic or they'll try to have a revelation of some kind, and it never really works. But this one, I think, was the best non-joke out.
I agree with you, Paul. And you said something a few minutes ago that Susanna said that she thought was a very smart thing, and I agree with. And I think that includes this joke out, which is, I like to watch people who like each other.
Yeah.
What and that extends
is that what she said? That just them liking?
Like what? Yeah. That I enjoy. We do. We always enjoy watching people who like each other.
Yeah.
It's always nice to watch people who meet and have some sort of a connection, and there's a reason for the connection, or even if there's not a reason for the connection, but you just see the connection. It's always nice.
Absolutely. All right, so we'll go to a commercial, and we'll see what happens next. So we'll be right back. You know what, guys? Can I take a quick second? I'm just going to take some cough medicine, and then...
Sure.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
It's been like a month. I just went to an ENT and they gave me some stuff. So yeah, I'll be right back.
Okay. Hey, buddy. Can you turn that down a little bit? No lower. Thank you, buddy.
In the back.
Henry, can you say hi to Corey?
Hi, Corey.
Hi, Henry. How are you? How's your summer been?
He asked how your summer is.
Are you having fun?
Yeah.
What are you doing right now?
Playing the game.
Playing a game.
What game are you playing?
What game are you playing?
Ninja.
Fruit Ninja.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, yeah. All right. Making it back in. All right.
Okay, and we're back.
Well, we'll start this act in the kitchen, and it appears that today is Thursday, the week later, and it's Elise's birthday. And
this is a weird scene.
Starting with Steven explaining that he's sorry that he can't go out to dinner with Elise and the kids tonight because there's a problem back at the station, an emergency.
Yeah. Locus.
Yeah, I honestly, I thought in the second scene of the episode when the kids reveal to Elise that there's going to be a surprise party, I really thought it undercut what would have been a more interesting plot line. However, this scene where she knows and he doesn't is an old as dirt trope in comedy, in sitcoms, where the audience knows more than the two people on stage. I thought it was really nice, and I thought they had some good jokes in it, like the locust thing and other stuff. Just seeing how they were lying to each other was nice.
Yeah, I have an issue with the couple that comes in for the surprise 6 hours earlier.
Me too. Why?
I am fascinated with these people. Who does this?
Who does this?
Who misses a date by 6 hours?
It's really weird because it comes out of nowhere. Once again, this couple comes in the back door of their house, just like no one ever does, but sometimes on Family Ties. And they're like, surprise, and they have a present. And Steven's like, you're 6 hours early. Now, what's crazy is they've ruined the surprise. So now everything that we just said is done. Except for at the end of the episode, they still try to do surprises, even though everyone knows that this is happening.
Right. And also, you don't come to a surprise party entering saying surprise. That's not how a surprise party works.
It's kind of brilliant. It's one of the more absurdist jokes on Family Ties we've seen in a while.
I kind of want a spin-off show of just these people.
Well, it's what I thought it was a funny joke that Steven says, they always have been our stupidest friends.
Yeah, it was so weird to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so Steven has set up he's not going to be able to go to the dinner tonight. And then Skippy and Amy come over. Been dating for what appears to be like a week.
Honey bear.
Honey bear. Yeah. Yeah. They're in love, totally in love.
And there was a hot second where I thought they were going in a bad direction, and then they steered out of the dive. Because there's a moment when they're saying hi to Alex, and Skippy goes, well, I've been busy with the old ball and chain. And I was like, yeah. I was like, oh no, Skippy's going to start acting like a jerk because of his confidence or something. And it didn't go that way.
No.
Right, which was so nice.
So we then get to this moment where she exits to speak to Mallory. Skippy's alone with Alex, and he confides that he has, I think I'm quoting directly, he has never.
He's never.
That's what he says. Now, so he's not lying. It's not lying. The implication, I think, to Alex in this next scene is that Skippy is a virgin.
Yeah.
But that's incorrect information if if you're a virgin, it's one thing. But if you're 19 and you've never kissed a girl, that's a different situation. And I think that should have been mentioned.
Wait, I don't, did they not? I thought they were going for the virgin thing. Were they not? Were they saying kiss?
That's what I thought too.
It turns out to be. It turns out
Yeah.
that he's never kissed a girl.
Huh.
Does he say that?
Did they say what?
That he never kissed a girl?
No, but you see the kiss?
Oh, well, that's true. Oh, okay. You're reading between the lines on that one.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's weird. He gives her a big hug at the end before the kiss is the dramatic ending.
Right. So the implication being it's about the kiss and not about being a virgin.
Right. And that confuses me
Okay.
because we spend a whole scene with Alex talking about female, I love you, sensitivity, caring. A is for Alex, which we'll talk about in a moment, and lighting. So we spend this scene, and I'm feeling as though he's counseling him on how to make love to a woman, when in reality he should be counseling him on kissing.
Yeah,
Right.
I guess so.
And if I was Skippy, I would say, "Hey, Alex, it's not. I'm not trying to hit a home run here. First base for the first time in my fucking life."
Right. And with the history of Skippy, what would have been clear is because they kind of hit on it. Yeah, I see where all the mixed messages are coming. It seems like because the idea is that this is the first time they're going to be alone together.
That's what keeps on getting mentioned.
Right. Me also, this is probably the first time Skippy has been romantically alone with somebody.
That's my point, is that if that's the truth, that's what he's asking Alex for advice on, but Alex gives him advice.
Right.
Right. But that's not the issue. He doesn't have any intention of trying to fuck her.
I think maybe the bigger implication is like, I don't even know what to do. That might be one of the thoughts in his head. What is going to happen being romantically alone with this person?
Well, that's
like,
what
I don't even know what that is. The bigger, yeah.
That's what went on in the room, in the scene. That's exactly what happened, is that we get into the scene and they're alone in the room and they don't know where to sit and they're sitting on separate beds, and he puts a scarf over a lampshade.
Right.
It catches fire, which is, obviously was going to happen. We knew that.
Right.
Well, before we get all there, I have a theory that I want to put past you guys before we go too far into the sex thing.
Okay.
Do you think that it could have been more interesting? I think that they wanted to have the kiss where they kiss on the bed be silly, and then the kiss at the end be dramatic. And so it was supposed to be sex, but then they made it mixed because then he's like, I've never kissed anyone before, of the way that he acts about kissing a girl. It would have been clearer if they had just kissed at the end of Act 1 at dinner. Because they're a couple. How have they not kissed yet?
Right, right.
I think that they wanted some physical comedy, and it made things way more confusing than it needed to be.
Right, because you can also feel like by this point a kiss has happened, and now it's being alone together.
That would have been the normal way of doing it, but I think they just were like, oh, it's going to be funny when they kiss.
Right, right. Yeah, it's all of it's a little convoluted, a little murky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Alex, do you want to go over the Alex thing, Corey?
Yes, please. A is for Alex.
So he says, in the middle of describing the word fiscal is what he wants Skippy to remember. And he comes up with something for each letter. And when he gets to A, he says, A is for Alex, which of course harkens back to our A is for Alex episode. And is also just about the most narcissistic thing any human can say.
Yeah. Who would ever say to their friend, think about me while you're having sex?
Yes. Well, also, it's for his own, own ideas. having that mention, like thinking about yourself having sex too. Like I want to remind, like it's almost like screwing yourself. It's so...
you know what? It's like that scene in American Psycho about a yuppie in the '80s when he's having the threesome and Christian Bale looks at himself in the mirror doing all of his.
Yeah, he's watching. Yeah.
Yeah.
While Susu Studio's playing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just a weird line.
So at the end of the dorm room scene, the lampshade catches fire, and once again, not only was their dining experience a disaster, but their awkward kiss and glasses clicking and not knowing where to put their nose. They went glasses, nose, lip problem, then fire.
Yeah.
And through it all, them liking each other. Rebound. Yeah.
And now we cut to the last scene in which it is Elise's birthday surprise party, and there's no surprise because first, who arrives at the door first? At first, it's Skippy. Surprise. Then it's Amy. Surprise. And then it's Elise and the kids, and nobody else surprised because they've yelled surprise twice.
Right.
And you know what's crazy? Two things. First of all, why did Skippy and Amy come separately?
Why are they going to the Keaton's house?
And that's the second thing. Why did they go to the Keaton's house?
Why? Neither of them.
Carrie watched this with me, and she said the same thing. Why does he keep going over to the Keaton's house?
It's 9:30 at night, and he's barging into the Keatons.
I mean, I don't think any parent has hated their child more than Skippy's parents, except for Donald Trump and Tiffany Trump.
Yeah. I gotta say, Skippy had a good line after the surprise that I really liked. He's like, it really didn't go that well.
That's a good line.
That's a good line. I kind of wanted Amy to have a follow-up line too.
Yeah.
Like they give her the surprise, and she says, "Oh, hi," and it kind of deflated it. I wanted her to have like a.
I agree with you, Scott. I thought she was actually going to repeat the same line.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really good triplet. They could have had him saying it really didn't go so well, her saying it really didn't go so well, and then somewhere finding Michael J. Fox a way of getting the topper on this whole thing.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Or it could have been. I mean, yeah, you would want to give it to Michael J. Fox, but it could go to Steven being at the end that the surprise gets totally fucked, and he goes, "Well, this didn't go so well."
Yeah.
Right.
But the other thing I wanted to say about the shit, I totally blanked. I'm sorry. Just go.
Oh, well, they were talking. Well, going back to that line, they actually have Jennifer say, "Well, this didn't go well as planned," and they could have had her say, "Well, this didn't go so well." There's your third beat right there.
Yeah.
So everybody's in at the end. I guess we're saying happy birthday to Elise, and the camera pans over to Skippy and Amy, who share a very non-awkward kiss.
Yeah.
And they very nicely ended the episode on that, thankfully not going back to anybody else.
Yeah, no one learned any lessons or anything. They just sort of explained that they were both nervous, and that's it.
Right. It was a nice, happy episode.
I think I remembered what I was going to say. This episode and the A plot with Skippy and Amy follows exactly when Mallory was going to sleep with her boyfriend Rick or something. I think it would have been more interesting because, I mean, do you think it was because of the time that they couldn't just have these two kids having sex type thing? So therefore, it had to follow the plot of them saying, "Let's wait." Like that was like a very, Ronald Reagan-y thing or something, or I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking about that episode too, Paul, while I was watching this.
Why couldn't they have just had sex?
Right. Do they think that would have been too much for Skippy? Like too much of a dramatic?
Like it feels like a world ago that Alex slept with the 22-year-old college woman.
Oh yeah. But I mean, it feels. I just thought it would be so interesting dealing with Skippy losing his virginity. That would be kind of interesting for that character, more so than Alex or Mallory.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Ultimately,
I'm with you. I don't know why.
Ultimately, yes. Wait until you're ready to have sex, whether for the first time or in any new relationship. But at the same time, as a fake character, it's a more interesting story.
Yeah.
Just do it.
And it wasn't like, but it wasn't even like they were thinking about it. They liked each other. They were wanting to. They were trying to get around their awkwardness. So kind of write them out of that and let them have sex.
Yeah. Ugh. Just
It's
do
all
it.
there. Yeah.
I also like I don't know, it felt like a dorm room. Wait, you see like the wall that was made out of cement blocks and stuff. I was like, oh,
Hated that.
very familiar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, this episode was fine. It was a nice little breath of fresh air. You know, nothing spectacular, but for a Skippy episode, it's probably the best Skippy episode we've seen.
I think so. I would recommend watching this episode. I've said everything I'm going to say. I would recommend watching this one.
Paul has
You heard.
Yep.
Paul has recommended him.
But Corey, I want your final take of whether do you hate this episode or you're just like nah.
Nah, I don't hate this episode. It's just meh. It's another lazy writers, lazy. The stories were just lazy.
Yeah.
But I don't hate Amy and Skippy.
No. Yeah, I hope
I don't
she'll be
think
back
that's
soon. Is it like the next episode or is it a while away?
No, I didn't see. I just saw that she only had 2 episodes.
Okay.
Ooh, I wonder if it's going to be like a breakup episode with Skippy. That could be interesting.
Oh, they'll have to find a whole new song to be their theme.
Yeah. No, they can totally Beer and the Beaters again. It's like we're milking this song.
Oh, speaking of which, they actually sang to Elise "Happy Birthday," which they must have paid for, right?
Paid a pretty penny for it.
Ah!
Yeah.
They're getting that money now.
Yeah, now it's free, but up until like 2 years ago, you had to pay a shit ton for that song.
Who did you pay happy birthday to? What estate?
The family of whoever wrote it.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
That for a generation.
Wow. That family is set.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's get out of here. For questions and comments, be sure to write us at qualitytimewithfamilyties@gmail.com. And if you want updates, you can follow us on Twitter at QTWFT. Each of us is also on Twitter. I'm at Follow Jones.
I'm at Paul Packler.
And I'm at Corpep.
And be sure to like our Facebook page. We'd like to thank our host and producer, Barbara Dillon at Fanbase Press. Fanbase Press is an online conglomerate of geek media supporting creative writers. Be sure to check out everything that they do. We also like to thank Perry Adams, who beautifully performs the theme song Without Us. Be sure to check out all of Perry's music at perryadams.com. We'd like to thank Brian Dillon, Fanbase Press's co-president. He also edits our show. And lastly, Sean Foster, Fanbase Press's graphic designer, for designing our logo. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.